check the scope. Money talk, money mo. Yeah, main crew say they weed it, kicking down the door.
Everyone, welcome back to Trader on the Storm. I'm your host, and today we are breaking down one of the most important days of 2026. Because while most people were sleeping this weekend, something historic happened that almost nobody's talking about, and that is Moody downgrades America. That one news needs a lot of attention for investors, day traders, and whatnot, right? So that's something I'm going to talk about. The next is the 10-year Treasury yield is at 4.6%, highest in a year, and it's all related to what happened with the downgrade and also the inflation numbers I've been talking about. Then I'm going to talk about what moved today, stocks that moved higher or lower. This has been the theme of the week because SpaceX IPO is coming up. So a lot of space related stocks are going to catch momentum. They already are. And I'm going to talk about that. And then one of the most important earnings this week, that is our favorite Nvidia. It has earnings on Wednesday, and the options market is pricing in a 9% move. Whether it will be higher or lower, we'll see. So, the first thing to talk about is the Moody's bombshell. So, what happened this weekend? Actually, Friday night after the close, Moody announced they are downgrading the United States credit rating from AAA to AA1. And let me explain what that means, right? So there are three credit agencies in the world. I already spoke about Moody's. The other one is S&P and Fitch. And what do? They are kind of, think about them as they are judging how trustworthy America is when it comes to paying back its debts. And in 2011, S&P had already downgraded America. Fitch did it in 2023, and now in 2026, Moody's done that, right? So first time all the three agencies are not liking the rising national debt of America and the persistent budget deficits, right? Now, what does that mean? Understand this. The higher yields hurt growth stocks because future earnings will be worth less. And that is kind of like a headwind for equities in the short term, especially the growth ones, the tech, right? So this is not going to be happy if the rates do not fall, and the rates are going to go up. I'm talking about the yield rates, right? So that's something to pay attention to. Now let's talk about what happened in the market today. S&P. S&P made a intraday low of, I think it went to 741 and then it crashed to about 733-ish. And then it closed higher actually because of the Trump news, Iran news, which kind of brought oil down, and there was a short covering. That was a great trade, by the way, for me. I made 24% in that trade. So anyways, so S&P, I have been talking in my videos, as long as the 731 level on the daily is holding, we are still in an uptrend. But we'll see. The numbers are kind of telling a story. Russell 2000, again, it made a low of almost 274 before its reversal. And I am more bearish on this name with all the inflationary pressures that we are seeing. Nvidia also went down sharply, about 4 to 5% today, and I think at one point it was at 218 before the reversal. So all in all, a very interesting day with all these things getting hit hard and then recovering at the end. Let's talk about the stocks that actually did well for their investors. The number one is LiveRamp, because it was acquired by this company called Publicis. It was a 2.5 billion all cash deal. Um, I would say pretty clean M&A deal, and the stock went straight up. It skyrocketed. And if you own this, congratulations. This is why I always say scan the M&A wire before the market open. The second one was Brady Corp. It had a good earnings beat. It was up 12%. This is an industrial company. It is into labeling, identification products. Quiet name, but made a good big move today. And the third one is Firefly Aerospace. Again, it's related to the SpaceX IPO and the tailwind building, up 8.5%. And the energy ETF, 2.3% up. At one point, oil went above 110, right? So something to pay attention to. Energy companies, they will print money if oil is at this price. So that's why XLE does well. Strait of Hormuz is still closed, so the supply is constrained. And if the oil is higher, it's not going to help inflation, right? So that's why investors are parking their money in the energy sector. Okay. Now, this is the story I'm most excited to talk about because it directly connects to the SpaceX video I posted yesterday. So there was some news that SpaceX will be doing a 5-for-1 stock split, and their share price will be coming down from 526 to $105. And that split completes by May 22nd, which is this Friday. And here's the big number. The IPO is priced at 1.75 trillion $1.75 trillion valuation. And that will make it potentially the most valuable company in America at the time of IPO. So I did talk about those Space 60 stocks, and I mentioned the key levels where you should get them based on technicals and Fibonacci retracement. So pay attention to that. Watch that video again if you'd like. I have put the levels to buy each one of these stocks listed here. I don't think I have Fly there, but I can always add if someone wants to. But I have all these other names in the list. So you can watch that video. Okay. What the market didn't like today, Nvidia down 4.4%. Well, that's because of this inflationary pressure, and Nvidia already made a big run. So that's all good. AEHR test systems, their guidance was not good. So, and high multiple. So what do you expect in this kind of rate sensitive market? It went down 14%. And Regen Pharmaceuticals, they had some pipeline concerns. So it's down 11.4%. Now, the most important thing for the rest of the week, right? So you have to watch the 10-year yield every single day. It's at higher, I would say levels that concern me and should concern everyone. So let's see how the market plays this. Nvidia earnings on Wednesday after close. Expected move 9%. And then what does that mean? It can either go all the way to 202 or 203 levels or 241 or higher, right? Based on how Nvidia, I have no doubt it's going to beat the earnings, but how the guidance will be and other factors will decide how Mr. Market decides to run this. And it's going to decide the fate of all these other names: AMD, MU, AVGO, SMCI, the entire AI trade, essentially, right? And then SpaceX. So you have to pay attention to SpaceX. All right, retail earnings. Walmart has earnings on Thursday, Target on Wednesday. And this will basically tell how the consumer is holding up in this rate sensitive environment. Um, and that's about it, guys. I hope this video brought some value to what you can do and what you need to pay attention this week. And have a great night.